Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
So I had this all planned out that I was going to, on the snorkeling part, I was like, it would be great to kind of like leave her there. So building up to it,
Okay, I'm laughing because
yeah.
that's not the same
Judge,
as where's your passport? Okay, I have it. In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Kevin Holt claims he was fired from his job on a tour boat after a lie from the defendant caused the defendant's girlfriend to be left behind. Mr. Holt is suing Brian Woods in the amount of $2,800. Mr. Woods claims he was just joking around, but says if it was such a big deal, the plaintiff should have triple-checked to make sure everyone was on board.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. You got fired from your job operating this boat.
That's correct, yes.
You're saying Mr. Woods is responsible.
Definitely is, Your Honor.
Why?
Him and his girlfriend like to play a lot of jokes, apparently.
Is this your girlfriend, sir?
Yes.
And she was also on the boat as well?
Yes.
Ma'am, come on up. Your last name?
Davis.
Miss Davis. You and Mr. Woods were on a boat.
That's correct.
And let's talk about what actually happens on the boat. It's something that people rent to go scuba diving and snorkeling and things, right?
It's a tour boat, so it's a catamaran, about 45 feet long. Seats about 30 people.
Okay.
And it's what we like to, call a booze cruise.
You call it a booze cruise, so then that's saying that you welcome the inebriated state that some people will experience while they're on the seas.
Well, Your Honor, I call it a booze cruise because people go out and when you hear the word booze cruise, you want to go on and have fun and pay and go on it.
Very effective marketing.
Yes, exactly.
And people are getting very happy with their drinking.
Right.
And some people get silly, some people get loud, some people become a little mischievous. Yes?
That's correct.
In this case, Mr. Woods became a little mischievous. Tell me exactly, what did he do again? I remember something about not being honest with you guys about something.
Right, so there's always a couple people who come, like you said, who are a little bit drunk, and you always watch out for those people. So as the boat goes on, it's a 3-hour cruise, and then it's 45 minutes to the cove itself, and then we give them an hour and a half.
And then when people are at the cove, how long do they stay there?
Hour and a half.
Oh, it's quick.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens?
So, during the hour and a half, you snorkel. And then after that, we sound 3 very loud, horn 3 times. And, so loud you can hear it underwater. And people, understand that it's their time to leave.
The purpose of that is wherever you are, you should know that we're saying we're getting ready to take back off and go inland.
Right, exactly.
Right? Now, Mr. Woods, you and Miss Davis were on this trip.
Yes.
Tell me about it from your perspective.
So from my perspective, backing up a little bit,
yes.
She played, we have a relationship where we kind of play pranks on each other.
Okay.
So we were in Costa Rica, and we're about to leave the airport, and she goes, hey, do you have your passport on you? So I'm looking for my passport, can't find it. I'm checking restaurants, everything. So
what did you do with the passport?
I had it hidden the whole time.
The whole time?
Yes.
And you decided on this particular trip, you were going to do something to get her.
Yes.
And what was that?
So I had this all planned out that I was going to, on the snorkeling part, I was like, it would be great to kind of like leave her there. So building up to it,
okay, I'm laughing because
yeah.
That's not the same as where's your passport? Okay, I have it. You're going to leave her in the water stranded.
Okay. So basically
Were you full of drinks at this point?
Yeah, I had a little bit to drink.
Had you already decided you were going to do this before, or was this amazing thought came about after a few libations?
This was planned.
All right, and then go ahead.
All right, and so I hear the 3 horns.
Right.
And she goes, is that our boat? And I said, no, that's just one of the other cruise boats, because there's like 3 or 4 other ones.
Oh, so Ms. Davis, you heard the horns.
Your Honor, each and every other boat, we go over this before we go before they go
Are
on the boat
there other
cruise.
companies also in the area?
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 of them. And each of them are different sounding horns.
And the horns are coming from the particular ship.
Right.
And you've already advised them this is what our horn sounds like.
Exactly.
And then what happened?
So, and then I was like, oh, I saw like an octopus or something over here. It's like the perfect time to kind of sneak away because I knew that was our boat.
And you didn't realize that he had left you?
No, I didn't. Not until he came back to come get me is when I realized that the whole
And
boat
when
had
you realized
gone.
you had been left, did you have any sort of panic, or were you like, oh, he's just playing a joke on me, or what were you
I
thinking?
didn't realize that the boat had left until he came back in the rescue dinghy and was like, get in the boat, like, we have to go right now, like, we accidentally left you.
You
I
weren't
had no
fazed
idea.
by...
I had no idea the whole time. I was socializing with the other snorkelers.
Oh, you didn't even miss him.
Coming up on America's Court.
My question is, why is this man responsible for your company firing you when the job requires you to account for every person?
And later,
Once or twice a week, she's at her beach house, and the rest of the week, she's at our house.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Kevin Holt, who is suing Brian Woods for lost wages.
Let me go back to you, Mr. Holt. You have now taken off thinking you have her on the boat.
Right.
And that was a problem.
Exactly. So before we go, we have a set of procedures that we go through. So my job in particular, Your Honor, is to make sure the boat is running correctly and to get, us there and back in time.
Okay.
We have a hostess, which is also the bartender, and her job is to count the people and make sure we have all people on board. And she was letting me know after I was, getting the boat ready to go. And she told me that, we're missing someone. And I went out there and I realized
The hostess told you, we started with X number of people.
Right.
We're that number minus one.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. And so, I go up to Brian over here, and then he's, because I notice he doesn't have his hands all over anyone. And I go up and the hostess tells me they're missing. I go up to him, I say, is your girlfriend missing? He straight up tells me right in the face, no, she's on board, she's in the bathroom. Because this is what happened. After the hostess did the count, a lady needed to go to the bathroom. So she went to the bathroom, and, so I knocked on the door, and she said it was occupied. And so, the hostess told me...
You thought that lady was Miss Davis.
Right.
You told him she's on the boat, she's in the bathroom.
Yes.
You knew the person in the bathroom was not Miss Davis.
Yeah, because when I got on the boat, I saw them accounting for everyone, and I'm like, well, there goes the plan, my prank's ruined, basically. But then I saw another lady go in the bathroom, and I was like, oh, perfect opportunity, So
And the joke was for her to feel as though you had abandoned her.
Yes.
He tells you this, and then you realize at some point that was not the person. Is it the company's policy to make sure you go back and get the person?
Right.
That was the issue.
Yeah.
And you were somehow blamed for not recognizing that you were missing a person.
Right. So that's not my job. That's my hostess's job to do that.
Okay.
All right. So
and what happened with the hostess as a result of you all having to go back and get Miss Davis and then return?
Well, sir, we all got fired.
Who's all of us?
The captain, me, the first mate, and the hostess.
All because you couldn't account for this one person, and it could have been a situation that was
All because
serious.
Brian wanted to play a silly joke, Your Honor.
All right. That was not your job to count for the individuals. Why did you get fired?
That's what I wanted to know. And it does make sense because we needed to radio in, okay? And so,
Because you worked as a team.
Right.
Nobody else is suing Mr. Woods.
And
You
Your
go
Honor,
back, Miss Davis, you're fine.
I'm fine.
You get back on the boat, you tell her, I told them to leave you, you guys are yucking it up.
I thought it was hilarious.
You thought it was hilarious. It cost 4 people their job. Now, nobody else is suing but Mr. Holt. My question is, why is this man responsible for your company firing you when the job requires you to account for every person?
So I
My
understand it
question
from the
is,
boss's
why should this
perspective.
person have to pay? Because the $2,800 represents what?
About a month of pay, yeah. It's about
You want
$700.
him to pay you a month's worth of salary because he played a joke on his girlfriend, and your crew, including you, had to suffer the consequences.
Yes.
I get it. Based on the evidence and testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendants. I just don't have any sort of nexus between why this person is legally responsible, because to
Sir,
me...
he was the one who ruined my career.
You make it seem like I didn't hear that. What I'm trying to get you to understand at this point is, ultimately, before that boat took off, it should have been that we got to make sure this person comes out. We're doing a count. What's your name inside the bathroom? That was easy. My name is Lucy Smith. Okay, sir, what's your girlfriend's name? And you would have her name, and you would have had her sign waivers and everything else. And it would have just been, she's not on the boat, we can't leave.
But he specifically broke the rules.
If you had a situation between you and the other crew members, and you're doing a count and someone gets up, then that means that count is not accurate. This is what you do for a living. I agree with you. I think it's horrible. I also, unfortunately, have to comply with the law. And in this case, it has to show some sort of failure to exercise a reasonable duty of care. That's what negligence is. You can't meet that burden, even though it was wrong and you suffered harm. But you can't meet the burden of the elements. Your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
You know, unfortunately, I lost my job because of this practical joke. And next time, I hope he learns from his actions.
I mean, I'm sorry he lost his job. It was just a practical joke. If it was that big of a deal, they should have just made more thorough checks.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Once or twice a week, she's at her beach house, and the rest of the week, she's at our house.
Closed captioning provided by... This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Plaintiff Brett Taylor believes his landlord should return his security deposit and first month's rent. He's suing for $3,600. Defendant Susan Richards says the plaintiff lived in the unit and she owes him nothing.
Mr. Taylor, let's talk about this issue of the monies that you want from Ms. Richards. $3,600 is based on what, sir?
First month's rent, Your Honor, and a $1,000 deposit, which she did not return.
All right. And Ms. Richards, why didn't you return the deposit after it didn't work out?
Well, not once, but twice, Mr. Taylor broke the lease agreement that he signed, and there were damages to the apartment that I used that $1,000 security deposit to replace carpeting, to do painting. According to the terms of our lease agreement,
yes,
I have this exhibit.
Show me. Yes, please. Now, he wasn't there that long, so how did everything go awry so quickly?
Well, he agreed. First of all, he did sign a lease agreement for 1 month.
And was it just you that signed
No,
the
it was
lease?
my girlfriend and myself, actually.
Right. Did both of you put your names on the lease?
I signed it.
Yes.
All right. You were a little confused about that, huh?
Yeah.
All right. And you had lived at another residence?
Yes. Before then, Your Honor, we lived at another residence, and we had a year's lease, and we
Did you stay
decided not
there
to
for
renew
a whole
it.
year?
We were there for a whole year.
All right.
And the year's lease was up. We did not renew it because the landlord violated our privacy. He came into our apartment while we were gone and left notes for us. He said, keep it quieter, and it was just...
Why were they leaving notes saying keep it quiet? What kind of noise were you guys making?
Normal noise. We both work. She teaches...
Well, what do you define as normal noise?
Well, we come home at night and talk, and you turn the TV on.
Till 2 in the morning, Your Honor.
Coming up on America's Court.
Once or twice a week, she's at her beach house, and the rest of the week, she's at our house.
Closed captioning provided by... This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Brett Taylor, who is suing his landlady for $3,600.
So part of the duplex
It's kind of like two. Is there two separate units? So
Yes.
So one is really just set up for as a residential unit.
One's residential, one's for commercial purposes.
Yes.
All right. Are they side by side?
They are side by side.
You mentioned something about the ceiling, though. You're moving me in the direction of you built
Yes.
additional
so,
space.
Right, and very
above
small.
the acting studio or above
It's
the
kind of
residential?
above both. It's just it's a very small, like in the attic space, an area where I can just because I didn't need to build a bathroom or
Was
anything.
that
Just like
area
a little
already in
bedroom area.
existence, Mr. Taylor, when you moved in?
No, not at all. We met with her at the studio.
Yes.
And I gave him a $25 application fee, and I
Okay.
came back a week later with my deposit check, and she wasn't there at the time, and I saw a guy in the studio with a ladder going up into it looked like the ceiling, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm building a little loft for Miss Richards here because she sometimes likes to hit the bottle and doesn't want to drive back to the beach." So the once or twice a week turned out to be like once or twice a week she's at her beach house, and the rest of the week she's at our house.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
You didn't expect Mr. Taylor to have her there so frequently.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't.
And that's
I already
the
have
issue.
a roommate. I didn't want another one.
You didn't want another
especially two
roommate.
women.
Right.
Okay.
But I went over with the express purpose of talking to him about the dog that he brought onto the premises that was breaking the lease agreement.
Ultimately, you moved out because of her noise.
Her noise.
You're saying, but he broke the condition of the lease with the pet. How long did you ultimately end up living there?
And we were there about 5 weeks or so.
5 weeks.
5 weeks,
All right.
yes.
And
so
in the
over
5 weeks,
1
did that
month.
cover a particular month of payment for rent?
March.
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 Yes, the month
Okay,
of
so
March.
and typically in the month of March, let's take a look here. Okay, it's about 5 weeks, give or take. So you stayed there a month's worth of time.
Yes.
All right, and you received compensation for a month's worth
For
of
1
stay.
month, exactly. That money was owed to
And
me.
he
He lived
moved
there. It
out
wasn't
without
like.
owing any additional money in terms of the next month.
Yeah, I was not, even though he broke the lease, I wasn't going to ask him. I was glad to see them
Fine.
go.
Let's
And
talk about the $1,000 security deposit.
Let's definitely talk
All
about
right.
that.
Why
Thank you.
did you give him notice within 21 days?
Well, it was written in the contract.
That's
so
a no.
No. No.
You know by law you must give 21 days after someone moves out.
But he
what
did not
happens
give
with
any
the law,
notice of
I've
leaving
moved on.
either. Okay.
What happens with the
Okay.
law is after 21 days, if you don't get a statement indicating what the expenses are going to be deducted, you can get double the amount of the security deposit. You put $1,000 down, you're entitled to $2,000. Anything else?
I guess I shouldn't, since
You are a smart man based on the evidence and
Yeah.
the testimony before this court. The gavel comes down in favor of the plaintiff. Are you going to get the $2,600 for staying there for 5 weeks? Not up in here. Are you entitled to the $1,000 because she didn't give you a response? Yes. Are you entitled to double that amount because of what she didn't do? Yes. So your judgment will be $2,000. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay him $2,000.
before I move in next time, I'm going to make sure I have more detailed questions for my landlord.
Because my tenant moved early and broke the lease agreement, I didn't feel I owed him the security deposit. Unfortunately, I was ignorant of the facts of the law.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.